Linda Bauld, Professor of Health Policy at the University of Stirling, and I do research on smoking cessation and tobacco control and also other public health topics. So in March 2014, a majority of members of Parliament in Westminster voted to introduce standardised packaging in the UK. We're the second country in the world to introduce this policy, following Australia in 2012. And now, of course, globally, we see a number of other countries are considering that as well. So it's a real step forward for reducing smoking rates, we hope, in the future in the UK. Standardised packaging is really about removing the tobacco industry's last form of tobacco marketing. Now we know that marketing sells products, all kinds of products, and the tobacco industry have been very successful over many decades at creatively marketing their products. We've seen point-of-sale display bans in the UK, we've seen advertising removed from TV, radio, etc. And what we've seen in recent years is the industry's put a lot of money into the pack, make it as appealing, as attractive as possible. And so by introducing standardised packaging, we remove that last form of tobacco marketing. So you can see just from examples of branded packs that the industry has really been quite innovative in relation to how it uses the pack to communicate about the product. This is obviously a pack that's marketed at men, it's substantial, glossy, appealing. And then obviously, importantly, we also have packs which are clearly marketed at young women. They're the size of a lipstick holder, they're embossed, they're glossy, they look really attractive. In contrast, a standard pack will look something like this. So it takes away the branding, the colours. The colour is a drab brown. You can see that the health warning is far more visual and apparent on the pack. So it conveys clearly to the smoker that it's a risky product and says something about what's inside it. So really quite a different type of packaging from the branded ones. And importantly also, it's going to restrict the size and the shape of the pack. So these packs of 20. And that's really primarily what you're going to see on the market after the policy is introduced. So the UK government launched a consultation on standardised packaging in 2011, and we were asked to do a systematic review of the literature, which was published at the same time. At the time, we found around just under 40 studies, and they looked at the appeal of packaging, they looked at the health warnings, and they also looked at smokers' perceptions of risks from cigarettes. And what that literature shows very clearly from a range of countries, and we updated it a year later, is three things. The first one is that standardised packaging will reduce the appeal of smoking and the appeal of the pack. The second one is that it will make those visual health warnings on the pack far more apparent to the smoker, more obvious, and people are more likely to look at them on a plain pack. And then finally, we know the industry has been really successful at conveying mixed perceptions of risk in relation to cigarettes. They might do that through colours, through different words like light and mild, through other information on the pack. And when you take that away, smokers are much more likely to think the product is the same and understand more clearly about its risk. And then also we found some evidence in relation to smoking behaviour. So people who were asked to use a plain pack in an experiment were more likely to think about stopping. And also in eye tracking studies that have been done in the lab, we see that people are more likely to take in the information on the health warning when they're presented with a standard pack. After we'd completed our systematic review, the government commissioned Sir Cyril Chandler, a paediatrician, to conduct a further independent review. He looked at all the evidence, including ours, and he also looked at the experience in Australia. And he concluded that there was strong evidence to support the introduction of standardised packaging, and his conclusions were very influential in persuading members of Parliament to vote in favour of the policy last year. So we still have around 100,000 smoking-related deaths in the UK each year. We know that current smokers they're not influenced that much by the pack necessarily, but we know that young people are, and the evidence is very clear on that. Now, in order to replace, unfortunately, the smokers who die from smoking-related disease, the industry needs to recruit new users, and the pack's been used to do that. So we primarily see standardised packaging as a policy that will help prevent smoking uptake, in addition to all the other things we've done in the UK, like smoke-free laws and age of sale. So I would expect in the next few years, we will see the rates of smoking in young people to continue to decline in the United Kingdom. And also, I think packaging will actually just reduce the general appeal of smoking standardised packaging. And so it will potentially also contribute to the ongoing decline in adult smoking rates. So those two things, preventing smoking uptake and continuing to create an environment that sends a clear message that smoking isn't something that's desirable, will be beneficial, I think, in terms of this policy. When the smoke-free legislation was introduced in the UK, we saw that as a real opportunity to raise awareness and encourage people who smoke to think about stopping. And I think standardised packaging from a marketing perspective is a similar opportunity. We really need to be communicating to the UK public about this policy, why we're doing it, why we think it's important, and encourage people to think about smoking in that context. Now, might be parents speaking to their children, might be families considering the issue, and it might be people who already smoke. We've got to send messages to all these groups and really seize the opportunity that standardised packaging presents to add to the things that we've already done to continue to drive smoking rates down further.